Hello everyone. Do you enjoy making 3D carves on your CNC router? Or perhaps you haven't yet and you'd like to learn how to do it or how to incorporate that into some of your other carves or some of your other designs. Well, today what I'm going to do is share with you a project where I was able to incorporate some 3D elements and do it fairly easily and fairly quickly. Now, how, you might ask? Well, actually, what I was able to do was use Vectric's EasyCarve application. And it's a standalone application that they came up with about a year ago that has access to a couple of thousand already designed 3D elements that you can subscribe to, and you can get those to be able to bring into your projects. So what I'm going to do is kind of show you how a little sign that I'm putting together for my wife for Mother's Day, how I was able to kind of do that. And I'm going to take you step by step how we do that. And I think you'll find it something that's quite useful and that you'll find yourself going back to time and time again. So I tell you what, stay tuned, and we'll head over to the computer and we'll sit down and get this thing going.
Okay, so now here we are. I've pulled up Vectric VCarve Pro and just wanted to kind of give you an idea of how I laid out the little sign that I'm going to make. And so what you can see is here it's, I think it's about 15 inches long, about 8 inches tall. And I'm going to have my wife's name and a couple of hearts here. And this bottom portion here is basically going to be a V-carve, just your simple basic V-carve, where I'm going to use a 60-degree V-bit, and I think I'm going to clear with an 1/8 inch upcut end mill. So that part's pretty straightforward. Now, the part where the 3D comes in are these 3 boxes that I have up here. These are each 4 inches square, 4 inches wide and 4 inches tall. And in this space, I'm going to have a 3D image of some music notes. Here, a 3D image of carving of a villa scene. And in this one here, a 3D carving of a lily in a vase. Now, like I said, we're going to use Vectric's EasyCarve. And so consequently, we don't even need to be in VCarve to use their 3D. But the reason I'm doing it this way is I'm doing both. I'm going to have a 2D carve for the letters and 3D carves up here. And so this is just to sort of space it out and determine where I want the placement and how big I want the 3D carves to be. And so each of these could be considered like a bounding box. And so, because what's going to help me is that you can see where I've got these guidelines here. Well, I'm going to center the 3D carve right here at the center of each of these bounding boxes. And this is just to sort of to lay out and help me place where I want to put each of the 3D carves. Also, by taking the measurements of the centers of each of these, when we get to EasyCarve, you'll see where I can put an offset in. So I'm going to start with the 3D music notes, and this is going to be my 0 right here. Now, I measured that, and from this 0 to the center line of this is 4 5/16 of an inch. So what we're going to do when we get over to EasyCarve is in the X dimension, I'm going to put an offset of 4 5/16 of an inch, and that'll take me to the center of this particular carving. Also, I moved this up 1/4 of an inch. So the reference, if this is 0, it's going to be 4 5/16 of an inch over to in the X direction, and it's going to be 0.25 inches up in the Y direction. And so consequently, when I get to this over here, I've brought the box back down again. And so again, if this is my 0 right here, this center line, as measured by the guidelines that I'm using to guide me here, is 9 1/8 inches in the X direction from the 0 that I've got here. So you can see that this that I'm doing right here is really just for me to have placement when I get into EasyCarve, and for me to kind of understand what where everything needs to go, and that I can start with this 1 0 and reference all of the carves off of that 0. And so I'll 0 at this XY point right here, which will happen to be, let's see, that's 3 inches from this edge, and it will be, let me close that, and then it will be 5¼ inches from this edge up here. So I'll actually be able to physically mark that 0 point, and I'll show you that on the board, and this is where we'll get our start. And so, like I said, over here, the this is just simple VCarve here. So if I were to preview all the toolpaths over here, and then we go take a look at it, we'll see that's pretty basic right there. I may do something different with it, add some colors or something a little bit later, but for now I'm just sort of demonstrating how we're adding 3D elements to a sign that also has some 2D. Now with EasyCarve, you can also make this entire piece a 3D also. This is just, I happen to want to do something to have 2D and 3D, but you could make the whole thing 3D. So this is just to kind of give you a little bit of background of how I'm setting up the sign and what we're going to do. And so now I'm going to launch EasyCarve and show you how I set up each of the 3D signs, or the 3D carves. Okay, so now I've opened up EasyCarve. Like I said, it's a Vectric cloud-based product, so you don't have to have it reside on your computer. And it's a way for you to access, I believe there are 3,000 different 3D models that are in here. I think it's like $15 a month, and you get access to all of them. I think they have a free trial also that you can try 3 or 4 models and see how they carve for you and test them out with your machine. So if you want to get started, you can see up here kind of what I'm talking about. I've already got some of the models up here that I've used, but I'll just show that if you wanted to go in and you wanted to start a new project, literally this is the home page, the splash page you'd get right here, and then you would just go to new project. You could pick a category over here, or you could just do an open text search. So let's just say if I wanted to do a car, come over here and I pick car. This is a nice, looks like Mustang. And what they've done is you get 3 options on each of the carves, much like their design and make product. You get a regular carve that would be on top of your material, or if it was something you wanted to cut out and place in another project, you also could get a dish type version, and or you could get this recess that has more of a hand carved look. And then if you wanted to do that, you would simply go down here and go create project, and then it would walk you through each of the steps to get that set up. And again, this is all on their server. So I'm going to back out of this, and I'm going to go to some of the models that I've already used. So if you remember in that VCarve Pro, the sign where I showed you, the first 4x4 box I had was going to be some music symbols. And so this was the music symbol I had here, and you can see it's opening up the project. And when you first open it up, it'll start right here. Now I selected, it gave me the choice of selecting the standalone, the dish, or the hand carved, and I like the hand carved for this. And so this is what you'll get first, is you'll see the model that you pulled up. You'll come here, you will select which material, hardwood, medium, or softwood. I'm using walnut, so we're going to call that a hardwood. Confirm your machine. I've got a CNC Labs long mill Mark II 48x30, so we've got that. So you'll select your machine here. Next, you'll come your size and position. Now, when I first pulled this one up, it was actually 10 inches wide by a little over 4 inches high. And remember, I told you I set those bounding boxes because I wanted it to be roughly 4 inches by 4 inches. And so you literally can just come into here and put whatever dimension that you want, either larger or smaller. And of course, as long as you have them linked right here, it'll maintain the proper aspect ratio. And the same thing, it was a little bit thicker when it was 10 inches, and by maintaining the link, it took it down to a little under 3/16 of an inch right here. But that's the nice thing here, is you can upsize or downsize from their standard model, which in this case was 10 inches. Oh, I forgot to mention you can choose metric or imperial units here, and I'm working in inches. You can change the orientation. You can rotate it. You can also mirror it if you want it the other way. Those are two options there. When you come down to here, that's the material. This is where you can place it inside of your material. So as over with VCarve Pro, when I showed you that, my material was 1/2 inch thick, so I put that in here. And so this was about 0.16 inches thick, this model. So I could have it setting at the top of my material like I do here, where it's 0, or you can move it anywhere in between, all the way to the bottom. And so I'm going to have mine from the top. There we go. All right. And so as far as an origin, so what I'm going to do with this is I am going to 0 from the center of the model. And like I showed you with those bounding boxes, that center is going to be the center of the bounding box itself. And so this will help me know that this will fit within that box. Also, I'm going to 0 from the surface of the material, and I won't have an offset here since this is my 0, but when I get to the other two, they're going to have offsets here. The next thing you do is you come down and you generate your toolpaths. And so the first one you do is your roughing toolpath. And of course, I've changed this since the last time I was using it. So right now I've got it set up for a 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch end mill, but I can change that. And I can do a 1/4 inch, or if I've got another tool size, that's the really nice thing is I can go in and put uh, either another end mill, a ball nose, or a tapered ball nose. I could put the diameter, I could make some notes up here, and then click Add Tool, and it will add that to my library of tools. And so I'm going to back out of here. And so I'm just going to leave it with this 1/8 inch end mill. There's some other settings here we can look at. So they default with a certain pass depth based on the size of your tool. So and also a step over. So it defaults at a 40% step over for this particular roughing pass. It has a default spindle speed, feed rate, and plunge rate. You can come down here to manually set, and you can change those based on your experience and your material that you are using. And so I believe I had changed it because I think this RPM was a little bit lower, and I had brought it up a little bit. But this is really nice. You can do that. They've got a standard machining allowance of 0.04 inches. I just stayed with that. You could change that. The other thing is you can change the raster angle, and in this particular case, 0 is going to be back and forth, left to right. 45 is going to be at a diagonal, and 90 is your tool's going to go up and down. So I just left it at 0. So once we're happy with everything that we've got as far as our parameters, I can go ahead and go calculate. And it's calculating at Vectric's server. You can see it's giving you kind of an idea of what your roughing toolpath would look like. All right, looks like it's finished. That little purple calculation line finished. So this is what my roughing toolpath is going to look like right here. And we can just kind of take a look at that. You can see. So, and it tells you it's all good because you kind of get the green right here. So next we'll go to the finishing toolpath. And again, it says I had done some things to the model before, so I needed to recalculate. And anytime you see this red exclamation, it says you changed something and you need to recalculate your toolpath. So in this particular case for finishing, I am going to use a tapered ball nose, 10 degree, with a 0.015 inch tip. And again, if you have another one, you could change that right here. Also, I can go to more settings. You can see here that one's got a 20% step over. I think I changed this to 18,000 RPM, 30 inches per minute feed rate, and a plunge rate of 10 inches per minute. And so once I'm happy with all of that, I can calculate again. Okay, so you're good right here. Got green on both of these. Now, in this particular case, I am not. You could, if you want, and it will place a vector and do a cutout. I could do a cutout of this. I'm not, because I'm carving it into a piece of material that I already have. And so the next thing you do is you export your toolpaths. And so if you go here to export toolpaths, you pick your post processor here. I think the two choices you've got is Gerbil metric millimeters or Gerbil inch. I use Gerbil inch. The other thing that would be a good thing to do at this point is up here. I'd already done this before, but up here it's going to show untitled, and so you'll want to give it some sort of title. And much like I do with the VCarve Pro, I kind of add something in the title to kind of let it know what bits that I'm using. And so here, 1/8 inch end mill and a 0.15 ball nose. And so once you're happy with that, you can export your toolpaths. And I had them both checked here. And so now it says they have both been exported. Here I need to allow it to do multiple files. So let me do that export again. I think that was a Windows function. There we go. So that's both of them up here. So this is my finishing toolpath up here. This is my roughing toolpath right here. And of course it says finishing here and it says roughing right there. And it lets you know that they've been successfully exported. And so basically at that point, they've gone to my downloads folder. Then what I'm going to do when I get ready to carve this, then I'm going to go to that folder and I'm going to send that G code to whatever machine control software you use. In my case, I have a CNC Labs machine and they use GSender. And so what I will do when I get ready to carve this, and I'll show you here a little bit later, is that I will literally go to I will fire up my GSender. I will go to where those files are located, and I will load up the roughing toolpaths first, and then I can cut that. And so you can see this is all sort of standalone for the 3D carves. I don't have to run it through VCarve Pro or Aspire or anything like that. So what I'm going to do now, though, is I'll go back and show you sort of what I'm doing with the offsets for the other two 3D carves that I've got. So I'm going to go back up here to the projects. And the next thing I had in the middle box, I had a sort of a villa scene. And we're just going to go back up here to the top. It's called Tuscany View. The computer's running a little slow tonight, but there it goes. So it's just a real nice view, as if you're in I guess, an Italian villa, looking out over the countryside, having a nice couple of glasses of wine. And I thought that was a really nice way to show my wife loves travel. And so it kind of evokes that. So same thing. So I had selected that. So this is the Tuscany view. You can see for this one, you don't see the edges. So I picked the dished 3D model option for this particular one. And so just a different look. And I selected hardwood here. I've still got the same machine. Size and position, you can see same thing, 10 by 10. I changed it to 4, added a few thousandths there, but basically 4 by 4. Linked these together, and then it showed a depth of 0.272. And of course, you want to keep an eye on that to make sure that doesn't get deeper than what your material is. Don't want to change the orientation. Don't want to mirror it. When I look at my material, it's 1/2 inch thick. I've got it at the top of my materials. That means I'm going to have about a 1/4 inch of material under the model. Now, this is what I was talking about a little bit earlier. So I'm going to send again in this sort of 4-inch boundary. And so I'm going to XY from the origin, and I'm going to Z from the top. But I'm putting an offset in now, because if you'll remember from the first music note where I had that box, that X was at 0. This one I measured it over 4 5/16 in the X direction. So you can see that's my 0 right here. And then I measured, and so now it's going to place this X 4 5/16 over and a 1/4 inch higher. And what this is going to allow me to do is I can load my bit, I can put in my roughing bit, and then run each of my 3 roughing toolpaths first. And then I can come back and run each of my finishing toolpaths. And so by putting this in here, when I 0 here, it will go over that amount of distance over and up and carve this one right here. Next, we follow the same. Here, I'm just going to go ahead and recalculate the roughing toolpath again. Now, these were green when I started because I'd already calculated them before. But just for demonstration's sake, I'll show that we're doing it again, because all the same options apply down here with your bits and how you want to set them up. All right, so we're good on that. Again, I could run the finishing toolpath here and just calculate that. But I think you get the idea here that you'll do your roughing, you'll do your finishing, it'll give you kind of a green to let you know that everything's good, and you'll get a preview of what it looks like. Normally these calculate a little bit faster. We've got some bad weather in the area. I don't know if my machine's running just a tad bit slower, but there we go. So that's your finish toolpath. There we go. It's coming into, oh, it's giving me the preview of the toolpath now. Yeah, and you can look, there's some real nice detail in that particular one. All right, and there we go. That's the final preview of it. You'll do the same thing. You'll export your toolpaths. I've already exported these, so I won't go through that again. And you'll do the same thing. You'll export them to your downloads folder, and then you can pull them from there straight into your machine control software, GSender in my case. The other thing I did up here is I named it. I call this Scene Travel. I'm using an 1/8 inch end mill, the tapered ball nose that I'm using, and I also put the offset. I've got a 4 5/16 in the X direction and a 0.25 in the Y direction. Okay, and then we'll go pull the last one, which is this one. It's one of my wife's flowers are calla lilies, and I happen to find a calla lily in a vase. So they call it the vase of lilies, and it's loading up. And you can see I chose the hand carve. And look on this particular one, same thing here, hardwood, machine, set the size and position, 4 inches by 4 inches, 0.3 inches deep, top of my material. And this is what I wanted to show you here. So this was that third box, and it was 9 1/4 inches in the X direction, but 0 in the Y. And so consequently, that will place it. As a matter of fact, if I zoom out here, you can see that's my 0, and it's placed it over here. So that's essentially it. You'll go back, you'll generate your toolpaths. They will go to your downloads folder, and you will pull those into your machine control software, and then you will be ready to carve. So that's it for EasyCarve. Like I said, it's a real straightforward way to getting into bringing 3D content that you don't necessarily have to design, and that you pay one flat fee, you get access to thousands of them that you can, we could have carved this just as standalone or put it within a project. So next we're going to get over to the CNC, and we're going to set some of this up and carve it. And if you stuck with me this long, I appreciate it. I think that you'll enjoy doing this, and this will be something that will add like another dimension to your CNC carving.
Okay, I've got my walnut panel. I'm showing the 3 boxes that I've got, and of course that's where the name is going to go. And I'm just going to simply take my ruler and lay out and mark my XY0 for the first uh, box that we're going to have, the one with the music notes, and then that will, use the offsets to engrave the others. And here I am, just setting my XY0 on my CNC, and then after that I'll set my Z0, which will be the top of the surface of the material. And now I'm just showing that I go straight to GSender. I find where I exported those files to out of EasyCarve, and then I just load them in the GSender. And I think this is one of the finishing toolpaths, but it comes up and boom, there it is. Okay, here's just a shot of the machine carving. I think this is one of the second of the finishing paths that are coming along, and it's coming along pretty nicely. And here's just a look at the 3 carves that we made after they've been finished. Still need a little bit of cleanup, but they came out really nice. Nice detail. Okay, and to kind of give the sign a little bit of pop and a little bit of color, added some epoxy. I filled the carves in with some clear epoxy, and then filled the letters with some colors. And then here I am putting a nice clear coat on top of it. Kind of give it a nice look there, and I'll be finished with it pretty soon.
Okay, and so here we have the finished product. Added some epoxy to kind of give some highlights to the letters and the hearts, and put a flood coat, clear coat over the top of it. But we can see those 3D carves came out really nice. The Vectric models are really, really good. I enjoy using them. You can see our Villacine came out nice, and also our vase came out nice. So yeah, so this is, like I said, a nice way to bring some 3D elements into your carve. You can do the whole thing, or you can add it like this. So that's all for our video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. Give VCarve a try and experiment with it. I think you can do 2 or 3 carves for free on there. So, well, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next video.